Disney is quietly pulling Snow White from theaters and shelves across the country in a move that shocked even Hollywood insiders. It's like they're trying to erase the movie from existence. The company has lost billions. Theaters are sitting empty. And now Disney is reportedly scrapping future woke reboots altogether. But the real meltdown centers around Rachel Zegler. After months of relentless backlash and disastrous box office numbers, she's reportedly collapsing under the pressure, breaking down during live streams, ranting in interviews, and facing the stark reality that her career might never recover from this disaster. Yes, it's all Rachel Zegler and her behavior. And if it was just one comment, it probably would have been forgotten by now. And it became such a disaster that they had to shut her up, which was the smartest move they made. Theater owners who were contractually obligated to screen Snow White on a specific number of screens started rebelling against Disney. They reported shockingly low attendance, even for weekend shows, and begged to let them pull the plug early. As in many cases, they didn't even wait for permission. They simply swapped it out for literally anything else they could screen instead. Even if Disney still had the most talented people in the world working with the best writers with a good sense of narrative and the cultural moment, even if everything worked perfectly, it would have been almost impossible for this movie to succeed. Then came the viral moment that broke the internet. A fan posted a short video from inside a Snow White showing panning across an essentially empty theater. You could count the attendees on one hand. Okie dokie. I am walking into Snow White. 2 p.m. Now seating. Let's see how empty it is. The fan narrates as they enter the barren theater, finding just 2 people inside. The vibe felt more like a cancelled school assembly than a Disney blockbuster premiere. Overseas, things got even harsher. Lebanon went further than just pulling showtimes. They outright banned the movie completely, not just from theaters, but from all distribution within the country. The film isn't even being imported. Then came the ultimate humiliation. No Disney executive wants to hear Lilo and Stitch. Yes, the quirky tropical animated classic was quietly tracking to outgrow Snow White's entire US box office run in just its opening weekend. This wasn't an Avengers movie or a Pixar juggernaut. It was just Lilo with her space dog. And it still crushed Snow White like it was nothing. Even the merchandise is flopping hard. Snow White dolls, t-shirts, mugs, all of it was shipped in limited batches to create artificial demand. But months later, shelves are still fully stocked. Disney can't even give the stuff away at this point. Behind the scenes, the situation was deteriorating rapidly as Snow White publicly imploded. Behind the scenes, fractures started leaking to the press, and what came out made things even worse for Rachel Zegler. First came comments from Gal Gadot, who played the evil queen. In an interview, Gal didn't throw Rachel under the bus directly, but she definitely didn't defend her either. When asked about the backlash, Gal pointed to a disconnect between what the film delivered and what fans were expecting. She called it a misalignment at the corporate level. Translation: this wasn't my fault. The most important thing when you are working on a film is teamwork. Gadget explained. And when you have characters like the evil queen and Snow White, you expect teamwork to play a role in the creative process when you are trying to put something special together. We didn't really have teamwork and there were many setbacks that we had to deal with during this entire process, and I just found that to be very exhausting. When pressed if she'd speak more about her experience working with Rachel, Gal delivered the most damning non-answer possible. I'll talk about that when I feel comfortable. One simple sentence that spawned 10,000 rumors. I think those that follow me will be satisfied when I am more comfortable to share more details on the specifics, but for now it's something I feel is not the right time to jump into. Dejo continued. Fans immediately interpreted this as confirmation that things on set were chaotic and that Gal was holding back out of professionalism, but her statement clearly hinted that the truth behind the scenes was far messier than the public realized. Meanwhile, Rachel's other co-star, Andrew Bernab, didn't even show up to the premiere. Not for press, not for promotion, nothing. And here's where it gets truly wild. According to reports, Rachel herself had already hinted his scenes might get cut. She literally said during a press event, all of Andrew's scenes could get cut. Who knows? It's Hollywood, baby. Imagine putting months of work into a Disney movie only for your lead co-star to openly tell the press, you might not make the final cut. No wonder Andrew skipped the red carpet entirely. The energy behind the scenes wasn't just tense, it was downright toxic. Then Disney made their biggest move yet, Tangled. Their next big live-action adaptation was officially cancelled. Quietly and without warning. No trailer, no teaser, no announcement, just gone. While Disney hasn't explicitly named Snow White as the reason, it doesn't take much to connect the dots. Tangled was supposed to be Disney's next billion-dollar franchise reboot, and early reports claimed Rachel Zegler was the top name being considered to play Rapunzel. But after everything that happened with Snow White, Disney clearly didn't want to risk repeating the same disaster. It wasn't just about recasting, it was about strategy. Tangled would have required another massive budget, another round of fan expectations, and a full campaign built around a face the internet was already tired of defending. For Disney, the potential damage simply wasn't worth it. And that kind of decision doesn't happen unless executives believe their lead actress is part of the problem. What we're seeing now isn't just a failed movie. It's a full industry rejection. Walking away, studios canceling future projects, directors dodging blame, and Rachel still at the center of it all. But that's nothing compared to what happened next. Because after defending the movie for months, doing press tours, and promising fans the theaters would be full, Rachel Zegler ended up sitting in one of the emptiest theaters of her career, and it was caught on camera. Before Snow White hit theaters, Rachel was confident. Too confident. She told fans that people would line up to see the movie, that it would be groundbreaking, that audiences would embrace her new vision. She doubled down on her stance that the original Snow White was outdated, and that her version would fix it. But the reality couldn't have been more different. When backlash started building online, Rachel posted an emotional clip to Instagram where she appeared to be holding back tears. It was raw. Fans were turning on her. The internet was dragging her press interviews. And suddenly that bold pre-release energy turned into desperate damage control. To everyone who hates when I win, the winged victory came to the loo in pieces, she said in the emotional video. And people still line up to see her. And I can only hope that despite my flaws and despite my cracks and my breaks, and there are many of them, that at every premiere and everything I do, people will wait in line to see. Then came the theater moment that would haunt her career. Rachel showed up to a screening of her own movie, flowers in hand, smiling and posing like it was a celebration. But the camera didn't lie. The theater was nearly empty with just a handful of people scattered across silent rows. It was supposed to be a flex. It became a meme. Fans started reposting it with captions like Snow White and the 7 empty seats. Others joked she brought flowers to a funeral. Some said it looked like she was holding a press tour for a ghost town. And then came the devastating numbers. Snow White couldn't even crack $100 million at the US box office, even with Disney's full marketing machine behind it. Even with a worldwide release, the movie was hemorrhaging money. Worse still, its IMDb score became one of the lowest for any modern Disney release, with critics and fans piling on mercilessly. The narrative had completely flipped. Rachel wasn't being celebrated for challenging tradition. She was being blamed for wrecking it. But the final blow came from the most unexpected place, Minecraft. Yes, the live-action Minecraft movie dropped weeks after Snow White and immediately crushed it at the box office, but people had dismissed as too childish or silly turned out to be exactly what audiences wanted. Fun, low drama, and actually made for the fans. While Rachel's Snow White was crawling to triple digits, Minecraft flew past it in its opening weekend. No political lectures, no controversy, just blocks, zombies, and Jack Black yelling into a mic. Suddenly, Disney's most expensive princess reboot looked like a parody of itself. According to industry insiders, Hollywood has definitely noticed this collapse. Reports are surfacing that studios are now reconsidering Rachel's future projects, that she might be passed over for upcoming roles, that Disney isn't willing to back her for future reboots after what happened with Snow White. The same Rachel Zegler, who was once hailed as a rising star, is now facing the biggest question of her career. Can she bounce back? Or did this movie close the chapter before it really started? With each passing day, Disney seems more determined to pretend Snow White never happened. Marketing materials are disappearing from Disney's social accounts. Mentions of the movie are being scrubbed from press releases about upcoming projects. Disney executives who once proudly talked about reimagining the classic are now silent or have pivoted to discussing other films. It's the corporate equivalent of deleting your ex from all your photos. What makes the situation particularly stunning is how quickly it all fell apart. Just 2 years ago, Rachel was being celebrated for her breakout role in West Side Story. Critics praised her performance. Award shows nominated her and casting directors were lining up to work with her. Disney casting her as Snow White was supposed to be the crowning achievement, the role that would cement her status as Hollywood's next big thing. Instead, it may have become her career's biggest liability. The question now isn't whether Snow White failed. It's whether Rachel can separate herself from the failure before it defines her entire career. Hollywood has a short memory for success, but a long one for disaster. While Rachel grapples with the fallout, Disney is reportedly re-evaluating their entire live-action remake strategy. Internal discussions now focus on being more faithful to the original stories, less controversial in casting choices, and much more careful about how they market these films. The days of reimagining classics with modern political twists may be over, at least for now. And now everyone's waiting to see what happens next. Will Rachel address the failure directly or try to move past it?